and welcome to The Harvest. This is your weekly roundup of news, views, and clues with me, Carmel Fisher. In this segment, we look at Trump's hush money trial and the jury selection nearing a close. We also take a look at how this trial may impact his campaign for presidency.
Trump is officially the first former president to ever stand trial on criminal charges.
Today is day 2 of jury selection. More than half of the nearly 100 potential jurors were sent home on the first day of the trial after saying they couldn't be impartial to sit in judgment of the former president.
More layoffs. Tesla lays off 10% of its workforce, a cost-cutting initiative looking to appease investors.
Just out of the blue, they laid me off.
Until Monday, Bradley Olson worked on Model Ys at the Gigafactory.
At 2 a.m., which is middle of the day for me because I was overnight shift. Just look at my phone and my Microsoft Teams logged me out.
Elon Musk then sends incorrect severance packages to those laid off. And the big question, however, is will this layoff, the biggest in the company's history, be enough to solve the company's growing pains? Looks like more tension in the Middle East, with Iran saying they will review their nuclear doctrine.
If the fake Zionist regime threatens or takes any actions against our country's nuclear facilities as a means to put pressure on Iran, it would be possible and foreseeable for Iran to revise its nuclear doctrine and policies and leave behind the previously declared considerations.
And more developments in AI. Boston Dynamics releases a robot like no other, the humanoid superhero. We take a look at driverless cabs in places all over the US, with more and more cities rolling them out, including LA and Vegas up next. But with all this AI evolving, growing, developing, and being implemented, it looks like a quarter of the electricity within the US could be gobbled up by 2030 if AI does not get over its energy addiction. Final jurors seated for Trump's hush money case, with opening statements set for Monday. The final jurors were seated Friday in Donald Trump's hush money trial, and an appellate judge rejected the former president's latest bid to halt the case, as a hectic day in court set the stage for opening statements to begin Monday. The panel of New Yorkers who will decide the first criminal trial of a former U.S. president took final shape after lawyers spent days quizzing the dozens of potential jurors on whether they can impartially judge Trump in the city where he built his real estate empire before being elected in 2016. The trial thrust Trump's legal problems into the heart of his hotly contested race against President Joe Biden, with Trump's opponent likely to seize an unflattering and salacious testimony to make the case that the presumptive Republican nominee is unfit to return as commander-in-chief. Trump, meanwhile, is using the prosecution as a political rallying cry, casting himself as a victim while juggling his dual role as criminal defendant and presidential candidate. Here's more on how this may impact his presidential campaign.
Well, a lot of people are going to be focused on that trial on Monday. I mean, it's going to be nonstop news. It's going to be difficult, I think, for them to find some jurors who feel comfortable with being on a jury. We have a president who's not shy about making threats. He has a lot of supporters who are willing to make threats. He's gone after the judge and his daughter. The judge is doing the best he can to protect the identities of these jurors, which says a lot about the circumstances we're in now. But when you boil it all down, Trump is on trial for, his payments to a porn star.
And in fairness, a lot of legal observers said they thought this was the weakest of any cases that are being pressed forward.
But it's also another one of those things that many of his supporters are also willing to overlook, the $130,000 payment that was made to Stormy Daniels.
Tesla, finding itself in a dark cloud, has laid off more than 10% of staff globally as sales fall. Staff were notified of these layoffs effective immediately. Tesla were looking to cut costs and boost productivity with this layoff, but Q1 deliveries fell for the first time in nearly 4 years. And add to that, battery development chief, public policy chief, announced his departure on X. Here's more.
Cybertrucks line the side of the highway in southeast Austin amid new reports that Tesla is temporarily halting deliveries as a top Tesla exec announces his resignation on Twitter and the company announces mass layoffs.
Just out of the blue, they laid me off.
Until Monday, Bradley Olson worked on Model Ys at the Gigafactory.
At 2 a.m., which is middle of the day for me because I was overnight shift. Just look at my phone and my Microsoft Teams logged me out. I was like, oh, okay, I probably just need to reset my password. But then I try and then it says my account was blocked.
For more than 14,000 people who were laid off, this came as a surprise. Investors are worried. In the past 6 months, Tesla stock has dropped 35%. Tesla is facing unprecedented challenges around the world, ranging from slowing demand to increasing competition from its Chinese competitors, ongoing worker strikes in Sweden, and even sabotage by German climate activists. Earlier this month, the company warned investors to expect a lower rate of growth this year, blaming interest rate hikes for dampening demand. In the last 3 months of 2023, Tesla lost its crown as the manufacturer of the world's best-selling electric vehicles. Tensions escalating in the Middle East, and Iran says they will review their nuclear doctrine amid Israeli threats, a senior Iranian Revolutionary Guards commander said on Thursday, raising concerns about Iran's nuclear program, which it has always said was strictly for peaceful purposes. In response, the United States on Thursday announced new sanctions on Iran targeting its unmanned aerial vehicle production after its attack on Israel. And US President Joe Biden said G7 leaders were committed to acting together to increase economic pressure on Tehran. Britain also announced that it was introducing sanctions on Iran in coordination with Washington, and Biden said the United States and its allies had helped Israel beat back the April 13 missile and drone strike and were now holding Iran accountable with the new sanctions and export controls. And now in AI developments, Boston Dynamics unleashes a robot like no other, the humanoid superhero. After only 8 years of doing flips for internet clout, the Boston Dynamics humanoid robot named Atlas is being put out to pasture. The good, or scary if you're concerned about the robo-revolution, news is the robotics company already has a replacement, an electric-powered Atlas it plans to sell. What does it do? Besides rising from the floor in a way that will forever bedevil your nightmares, the new Atlas will be able to lift stuff too heavy for most humans and the previous hydraulic version of Atlas. It also bends in a way no human can. For instance, its knees swivel backward and its torso can do a full 360-degree rotation. The OG Atlas was originally pitched for search and rescue missions, but the company now envisions the bot carrying weirdly shaped, heavy items around a warehouse very quickly. Looking ahead, Boston Dynamics said it will start testing the new Atlas in its parent company Hyundai's factories next year. And unlike the last Atlas, this one will become commercially available with plans to roll out the bot to other manufacturers in the next few years. Other companies like BMW and Amazon have also started investing in other humanoid robots for warehouse tasks. Ready or not, self-driving taxis are rolling into a growing list of American cities. Why does it matter? Well, the hope is that autonomous vehicles, or AVs, will boost safety and improve transportation access. But not everyone is thrilled about sharing the road with cars lacking a human driver. The big picture is, as San Francisco has learned, without a clear legal framework for driverless cars, frustrated cities could find they don't have much authority if robo-taxis cause headaches. And a lot of cities are plainly asking, well, what's in it for us if we're just being used as a test bed, being burdened without any clear payoff and with a level of risk that they cannot really control. While driving the news after investing tens of billions of dollars in research and development, robo-taxi companies Cruise and Waymo are now shifting their focus to commercialization. The goal is to scale rapidly by deploying robo-taxi fleets across multiple cities in fast succession. They believe that's the best way to turn what's been an expensive science project into a profitable business. Motional, co-owned by Hyundai, also has big expansion plans, but it is taking a more measured approach, starting with Las Vegas later this year. This robotaxi movement is also a big pivot Tesla is making, the reason behind Elon Musk's, perhaps, distraction. Now, there's always a flip side, and the flip side to the shiny coin of AI is that it could gobble up a quarter of all electricity in the US by 2030 if it doesn't break its energy addiction. So before artificial intelligence can transform society, the technology will first have to learn how to live within its means. According to Amy Badani, Chief Marketing Officer of ARM Holdings, the power of artificial intelligence seems limitless, but generative AI's demand for power is insatiable. Badani said recently at a conference in London that ChatGPT requires 15 times more energy than a traditional web search. And one possible solution? Develop semiconductor chips that aren't energy intensive, as ARM has done for smartphones. As businesses increasingly adopt generative AI and strive to develop more powerful tools, the demand for computing resources continues to grow, leading to higher power consumption. For instance, OpenAI's latest breakthrough, Sora, necessitates a vast amount of energy for training. Developing semiconductor chips optimized for minimal energy consumption to address this challenge is important. ARM, known for its energy-efficient RISC processor designs used in smartphones, aims to apply a similar philosophy to AI technology, reducing the power consumption of AI systems to ensure sustainable growth and adoption is necessary. That's it for The Harvest. Find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and anywhere you find your podcasts.